The American dream is dead, and many Americans can't afford to have kids. Today, I read an interesting article on Yahoo Finance, put out by Fortune and written by Chloe Berger, titled The American Dream Failed Millennials and Gen Zers. Even dinks earning over $100,000 say they can't afford kids. The author of this article referenced a Harris poll which revealed that dual income, no kids, or dinks, now represent around 5% of Americans. Young adults are throwing aside the faded script of a nuclear family and a white picket fence. Many can't even afford a house. Here are my thoughts. First of all, good luck with the white picket fence, because many homeowner associations wouldn't allow one. Second, I don't know how some parents are doing it. Life is incredibly expensive, even if you have no debt. Unfortunately, many people have a mortgage, more than one car payment, student loans, credit card debt, buy now, pay later loan debt, furniture store debt, and now they have to figure out how to pay for new clothes for the kids and school supplies for the kids. Then there are children who want to participate in sports, and that can get incredibly expensive. If they want to get involved with travel sports, watch out, that is astronomically expensive. I spoke with a real estate agent once who told me about some people he met who were refinancing their house in order to pay for their kids' travel sports. Getting back to the article, the author talked about millennials and Gen Zers and said they were handed a lousy deck of cards. Young adults of today are opting to play a different game entirely. Many are simply recognizing that the cost of a baby could run them dry. Here are my thoughts. I can understand this. A guy I know with a good professional job at a company that supposedly has great health insurance said he had to pay over $5,000 out of pocket for the baby his wife just had. I'm sure the outflow of cash is just beginning for him. Getting back to the article, the author said the U.S. Surgeon General called out how parents are experiencing high stress levels. Well, my friends, I can believe this. Life is getting incredibly complex. Some children are exposed to some strange thinking in schools. Others get caught up in trying to keep up with all of the expensive things that other kids have. This was a problem when I was in school. I remember kids flexing with their new lunchbox and making fun of kids who didn't have a trendy lunchbox. Then there were kids with the huge box of crayons with the built-in sharpener. I remember sitting there with my little box of crayons that wasn't much bigger than a pack of cigarettes. Then, in the 1980s, you had to have Guess jeans with the little triangle on the back pocket or you didn't fit in. Corporate America loves all this, but I worry about how this is impacting children psychologically, and I wonder how it is affecting parents who are stressed to the max. Many are trying to figure out how to pay for all this. The author of this article went on to say, the long-term cost of raising a child in 2022 was calculated at $310,605. My friends, this is a staggering amount of money. Depending on your income level, you would likely need to have earned more than $500,000 to net that amount of money. Try saving $310,605. It is no easy task for many Americans. Some would struggle to even save $10,000. Life is just too expensive to set aside any additional money. And those who manage to set money aside often have it gobbled up by an emergency. The alternator on the car goes out, or the water heater in the house needs to be replaced, or the kid falls off his skateboard and busts out his 2 teeth. The list goes on and on. I remember about 20 years ago, I was talking to a guy with 2 graduate degrees and a pretty good professional job. He was telling me about his weed eater. He had been nursing this thing along for many years. I told him to just go out and get a good straight shaft commercial grade unit. He said he had always wanted something nice like that, but the kids always needed something new like a pair of shoes. I really felt bad for him, but but at the same time, I admired him for taking care of his children. This is the reality for many parents. I read some of the comments beneath this article. I'll share some of them with you. The first comment is pretty long, but I felt like this lady paints a realistic picture for some Americans. She said, "I'm 38 years old, childless, and a cat lady. 1/3 of us got laid off at least once and often multiple times between 2008 and 2012, which is also when many of our student loans were starting to come due. And most of us chose not to be homeless and or wage garnished rather than having kids. By 2019 to 2020, we were starting to get out from under our student loans and back on our feet. And then 1/3 of us got laid off again in 2020. Millennials bore the biggest brunt of the layoffs and financial devastation in both 2008 and 2020. And that can be objectively quantified with data. Boomers suffered second most in 2008, and Gen Z suffered second most in 2020. 1 in 5 millennials have been homeless at some point between 2008 and now. Our net worth, especially for those of us who entered the workforce between 2006 to 2012, is roughly 20 to 30% lower than that of people who entered the workforce before 2006. This is all directly caused by the mass layoffs and objectively terrible job markets we've faced during both major recession periods. And unlike the banks and small businesses, none of us ever got bailouts. Instead, we've been called lazy and entitled and told that we're killing the economy because we can't afford the things our parents were able to afford by our age. Also, this is what happens when you tell an entire generation that they must go to college or else, and then saddle them with an average of $38,000 in student loan debt with a bait and switch interest rate. Mine went from 3.4% to 7.8%. Well, the next commenter said, in the 1960s, houses were less than half the size of the homes built today. Most families only had one telephone, one television, and one car. If you lived like that today, you could afford to have children. You might even decide that drinking Maxwell House coffee is not that bad as compared to Starbucks, especially after one of your children runs up to you and hugs you for no reason. The last comment that I'll share with you came from someone who said they can afford to have kids. They just don't want to sacrifice anything to have them. Past generations had less money, worked hard, and sacrificed greatly just to put food on the table. Today's young people want everything to be easy, or they don't want to do it. Well, my friends, the commenters always have strong opinions. What do you think about all this? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. If you would like to become a channel member, there is a link in the description beneath this video. You can read more about the different membership levels. Please also check out some of the great books that I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.